Having a tactical RPG in a sci-fi setting comes with unique challenges. Let's explore the game designs that tell us if such a game is going to be a masterpiece or just an absolute mess. Today we are talking about Space Scum. Welcome to OpenSplit. If you like these casual game commentary videos, please subscribe to the channel and check out my own survival roguelike over on Steam. And now, let's get started. To see if a sci-fi strategy game actually works, look at the guns. In a low fantasy game like Battle Brothers, distance is everything. You hide behind a shield wall, hold a choke point and force the enemy into your front line. Giving every single unit a rifle alters the geometric shape of the battle. Space Scum drops laser rifles, shotguns, SMGs and sniper weapons right alongside energy shields and traditional swords and axes, a very interesting decision. It gives everything almost a Mad Max vibe. Suddenly sitting still behind a defensive wall gets you killed. Survival requires constant aggressive movement across the environment. Your melee fighters have to burn fuel on jetpacks or charge systems just to close the gap. Meanwhile, your shooters have to watch their angles because blocking a teammate's line of sight triggers disastrous friendly fire cases. Moving targets even gain evasion stacks to decrease a shooter's percentage to hit. I am also very fond of the fact that they have full-blown interiors, which almost feels like a dungeon crawling loop, something that was direly missing in Battle Brothers. Add in smoke grenades, acid floors and stray explosives and the battlefield becomes a much more hazardous environment than we are used to in games like these. Now we should also look at how actions are even made in the first place, because it can take a number of forms in this genre. In many turn-based games, doing something is a predictable slow bleed of AP, which is action points usually, which can also be called fatigue or anything really. The basic principles stay the same. Swing a massive axe 5 times and your character gets tired, or wear heavy armor and your turn comes up slower. In Space Scum, it seems that we are using both AP for walking around and taking basic actions, but the moment you want to fire a massive weapon burst, deploy a turret, or launch something like a hacking protocol, which are the game's special actions, you drain a new resource which is called focus points or FP. You can watch your elite mercenaries slowly getting tired over a 10-round battle, or feel it out and decide to burn all your best abilities in a single offensive, which might guarantee a victory. The risk is absolute. Dumping all your FP at the start can leave your individual mercenaries more vulnerable. While their armor still protects them, they are temporarily restricted to basic actions. If surviving mutants or robots close the distance, your depleted fighters might lack the heavy firepower needed to repel them. I think this greatly expands the tactics that you can come up with before and during combat encounters, which brings us to the next important part, which are the roguelike and permadeath elements of the game. Let's be honest guys, the tension in games like Space Scum only works if you really actually care about keeping your crew alive. It should almost be so detrimental that you consider an entire run lost just because that one guy who you were just way too fond of had to bite the dust. In Space Scum, it seems that we are doubling down on character quirks and flaws even more than we did in Battle Brothers. When you open up the hiring board, you choose recruits from a ledger filled with unique traits and even differences between alien races, like the Var, who literally cannot wear helmets. If you manage to keep your mercs alive across planetary contracts, they earn raw experience, climb a massive branching skill tree and unlock specialized roles. Balancing your roster means matching blade masters, heavy gunners and hackers to the layout of each mission. Permadeath ensures that any casualty wipes out that mercenary along with their level progression, so the stakes are always as high as they can get. Managing your squad continues in the procedural overworld map. You fly your ship between different planets to pick up trade goods and complete missions to cover your crew's salaries. Once you touch down on a planet's surface, you are put behind the steering wheel of a customizable rover. And all of this space traveling and ground exploration stuff is just how you fund your crew and get new gear to be ready for your next battle. When you first enter this world, you start with nothing but cheap kinetic pistols and rusty machetes. To unlock energy shields and power hammers, you have to drive into hostile territory, kill the mutants or robots blocking your way, and strip the scrap metal directly off their corpses. It doesn't take long for the world to demand that you upgrade, unless you want to get a company vibe already. The game uses planet travel and city networks to keep you moving. You also have to deal with your ship's fuel and rover repairs. And chasing high tier gear forces a brutal risk versus reward calculation, because taking on the most lucrative contracts to salvage top tier weapons exposes your under-equipped troops to instant death. From a game design perspective, the only risk we have when it comes to such mechanics is that this might turn into a tedious grind where you just watch numbers go up with minimal impact on the actual gameplay feel. But you know what? A good variety of special effects and a phenomenal sound design will go a long way here. When the weapons feel heavy and the combat feels brutal, the mercenary management and the turn-based combat mesh together just perfectly. Balancing brutal and tactical sci-fi combat alongside a deep company management system as well as exploration and in-depth customizations show this genre is still a top-tier experience. You can test these mechanics yourself right now actually. There's a free Space Scum demo Second Life on Steam right now. Anyways, that was basically all I had to say. Thanks for watching. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you prefer your tactical turn-based games with sci-fi firearms or classic fantasy swords and magic like Battle Brothers? This was OpenSplit Code and Chat. Let's meet again in the next one. Bye.